This is my tier list from patch before 11.08, where the initiators and the controllers were giga nerfed. Now we're gonna rework this tier list that you guys see here from my previous video into the new post 11.08 patch. So let's just go in. Phoenix. He was tier S, and I still think he is tier S. It's actually mental that he wasn't touched by the nerfs, because why would he? And so how much he gained from the overall nerfs in the entire game. So he stays at S. He's winning. And if you can one-trick a character in this game, I would really advise to do it on Phoenix. He's really underrated and is absolutely mentally strong for solo queuing. The ultimate at 6 orb is still just bonkers. Now, tier A. Phoenix is gonna stay for now in S. I will see if someone will join. Now, on tier A, Raze stays in the same spot. Again, same reason. She wasn't touched. She benefits from the fact that there's less utility for the initiators. She can play in off angles. She's good. She's just straight up good. Now, when it comes to Chamber, I'm actually gonna move him to B tier. It's gonna make a little bit more sense after I'll tell you why in a few moments. But in general, he didn't gain much as the duelist, but he still benefits from the fact that the initiators are just getting nerfed. So he can play in a lot of off angles. But I'm moving him to B because you're gonna see what's gonna happen in a moment. So then Jet stays in this tier. Like it makes no sense to move her. She again benefits from all the controller and initiation nerfs. She was already a pick in my book before this nerf, so she stays. So does ISO and Yoru. Even though Yoru got giga nerfed, he is still incredibly playable in solo queue. I am still putting all of my eggs into one basket when it comes to solo queuing with the Yoru. And even though the nerf on the ultimate is really big, you cannot be that flexible anymore. You can still get kills with it because you just play with the stinger and you just unequip when you see people with their pants down when they equip a knife or equip a utility piece, and that's the moment when you strike. So he's still incredibly good. You can still do the same flash TP plays, so he didn't lose much when you compare it to how much lost the other characters, like how much initiation lost and so on. He is still incredibly good. Now Reyna, I'm actually putting at the top of the A list. So she goes from B to A because off angles got so much stronger, right? And she is the king of off angles because she can just kill someone and TP out. You can say maybe similar stuff about Chamber, but Chamber is tied to a location while Reyna is not. She really benefits so much from the nerfs and the initiators and the controllers. It's absolutely mental. That's why her pick rate is going even higher than it was before. Controllers. Clove is gonna be the next agent to look at. What do we do with Clove? Believe it or not, but I'm changing my opinion that she was a B tier pick for solo queuing, and now she's an A tier pick for solo queuing. She is like, again, like why on earth would you want to play any other controller than Clove right now in solo queue? There's no other argument. She is if you want to play a controller, you should play Clove. And the fact is, statistically speaking, when you look at the win rates in ranked, she has, if you take an entire game, because it's not true if you look only at the Mortal or only at Radiant, but if you look at the entire game at every single rank, she has the highest win rate overall. Even statistically speaking, when it doesn't matter like what you do, she has the highest possibility of winning games. So why on earth would you play anything else? So I think you can see where I'm going with this, right? What is happening with the A tier. Gecko is the next agent. He goes down to the bottom to the F tier. And by the way, Veto is going to be moved. He's new. This is a new entry, so don't mind him at F right now. He's going to be moved. But Gecko goes down. He goes down to F tier. The nerfs hit him so hard, it's actually ridiculous. 20 seconds cooldown on his util after picking it up. So not only you have to announce your position when you use it, you get to announce your position when you pick it up. You're probably out in the open when you're picking it up, and then you have to pay for all those risks with 20 seconds cooldown. He is garbo. He is literally garbo, and don't play him. Just straight up don't play him in solo queue. He is really not doing well. Now, we've talked about Chamber, now we're gonna go about Brimstone. He didn't get touched by the nerfs. But the problem is that there's no point in playing him in solo queue when, again, Clove is just so much better essentially than everything else. Like, I'm just putting him at C right now because the guy just, like, he didn't move up or down in ranked when it comes to his own performance. But the problem is that the entire game just goes towards self-sustain and just the ability to just play off angles, and he doesn't get any of that, while Clove gets. Clove, by having the recurring smokes right now, the game slowed down massively, right? Like in ranked, you either have super fast pushes or very slow games, like it's Fnatic playing every game. So she actually benefits, they benefit so much, sorry for the pronoun. I do think it's they. I'm not doing this on purpose. They have such a big advantage over any other control in the game right now. It just legit makes no sense to play Brim or Omen or Astra or anything else in the game. So I'm putting Brim in C right now. He went from B to C, but if you want to play a controller, I guess a second choice after Clove would be Brim still, you know? Now, Omen, garbage. Garbage. The paranoia is absolutely useless right now. You cannot use paranoia for yourself anymore because it's so fast. But not only that, the paranoia effect has now a range of visibility 7.5 meters, which means that it doesn't really change when someone holds a choke point. They can still hold a choke point with a judge. In 90% of the cases, your paranoia will not achieve its effect, so you can't really use it in those areas like hookah on bind, or like, for example, ascent at Jenny, because the person still will stand at the choke point and hold you with a judge or something else. So you're gonna have the same problem that you didn't have. Sorry, not the same problem. You didn't have that problem before, because if you paranoid someone, they probably had to fall back. Now they will just stand their ground. So it's really a huge debuff. Combine that with the nerf of the smokes, combine that with the fact that he doesn't really have an ultimate, he is garble. And also, he has non-mirror win rate in rank right now, 43%. If you go into a ranked game and your team has an Omen and the opponents have a Clove, there's a very big chance you're just losing on the spot. Statistically speaking, you're losing most of those games. Now, Neon actually goes back to A. Why? Because she gains. She wasn't touched, but she gains so much from the nerfs of the other agents, because she just can play again off angles. She can be aggressive, so she benefits from the fast type of gameplay, or she can rotate fast between sites. Even though she got nerfed with the Duracell's like duration of the battery, it doesn't change much for her. She is still more self-sufficient than any like majority of the agents in the game. So she now just, as every other duelist, she just goes up because everyone else goes down. So we get her to A. And she also has an ultimate that benefits from the fact that you know, players cannot really check your positions and so on, so they don't know what's coming as often, I mean. And also there are not many smokes, so you also benefit from that when it comes to playing Neon. Now we have Cypher. It's sad. Like, he goes to tier D. He's still playable, but that level of playability when it comes to the traps, to how the camera works right now after the nerf, is just sad. It's just, if you're gonna play a Sentinel in solo queue, just don't play Cypher. Like, there are better options. It's sad to say, but there are better options, and one of those options is gonna be Killjoy. Killjoy didn't get touched by many nerfs. Like, her turret actually is now way stronger than it was before. So if you really want to play a Sentinel, Killjoy is right after the Chamber, the strongest pick. If you want to have like a true Sentinel solo queue, it's gonna be Killjoy. But the problem is, she's still very weak comparing to like everything else in the game. So it's not a good choice for solo queue if you really want to perform yourself. Now, Vice, she was the best agent for solo queuing when it comes to true Sentinels. Not anymore. The nerfs hit hard. The flash not giving info is... oof. Yeah, everything just got absolutely demolished. So she goes back. She goes actually below, in my opinion, below Cypher. So which is tier D. So yeah, I definitely don't recommend playing her right now. All right, now Fade. Fade is in current form, even with the nerfs on the dog's eyesight and the fact that she has her signature being put at 60 seconds. Her ultimate actually got a little bit of a buff because of the perma DK damage for the 8 seconds of the duration, which was down from 12. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, I actually think she is the strongest initiator that you can play in SOLOQ. But the problem is, you're still playing an initiator that is pretty garbage. So not only you play an initiator that got heavily hit, but you also play an agent that should help the teammates instead of helping yourself. So I don't recommend playing Fade in solo queue. But if you really want to play an initiator, then Fade is currently the best, in my opinion, choice. But Skye is not that much behind her, because you actually get an initiator that can play with flashes for herself. So Skye didn't really get hit much by the nerfs. Still, it's actually kind of funny because the ultimate got a nerf because of the near sight debuff, but if I'm not mistaken, the wolf from Skye was unaffected with those changes because it already had higher visibility than like, you know, 5 meters. So it's kind of funny when you think about it. But the flashes are still good. They're still good. And you can pop flash for yourself. So she is playable even though she didn't change much. It's just that everything else just got so much worse. Now we have Breach. Breach, all of those nerfs essentially, in my opinion, make him really worthless for solo queuing, because all of the util that you have here is essentially only benefiting your teammates rather than yourself. So again, if you want to play a solo queue initiator, it's not Breach. It's not Breach in the slightest in this current form of the game. Now, KO. KO is if I remember correctly, the worst performing initiator in solo queue. But in my eyes, if you can at least play him to some degree, like in a selfish manner, so he is not staying on C. Because of the nerfs, he goes down to D. But he is absolutely like still trash, but it's still better than playing Breach, for example, or Gecko. Like you can use those right click flashes, which are definitely stronger than they were before, so they can actually matter as a self-help tool in current version of the solo queue. All right, now Sage stays. Sage stays in C. I think she kind of benefits from the nerfs of the initiators, because the wall now like can give you a lot of off angles that cannot be checked for like a full minute. So it's more than duration of the wall when you think about it, right? So you can benefit from the longer games that you're gonna see on average in the ranked or the faster rounds, because everyone just commits. So you benefit from both of the outcomes of how the game is being played right now, because if the game is super fast, then your util actually matters, because the slows cannot be counted that by many characters. And if the game goes to the slowest possible outcomes, then you can gain even more time and make people lose to time if you play smart with your util. And you can always heal yourself, which is not terrible, I guess, but it's not a great point. But you can essentially help yourself get kills with this character. So she stays on C. Not a great choice, but it can be a choice. You know, Sova, I'll be honest with you, I would not play him in solo queue right now. He's just so much worse than Fade. If the only reason to play Sova over Fade right now is the fact that you play on a really big map like Abyss and you need the drone to catch an operator player that is like very far away, and the dogs might not get them. But in general, you have just less util than Fade with smaller amount of impact. Your ultimate is way worse than Fade's. And also remember that the upside of you playing Sova is essentially playing something that can destroy traps. But not many people play real sentinels nowadays, even in ranked. So what's the point of even playing Sova in this case, right? So unless you play in Radiant, like, Sova makes not a lot of sense to be played right here. All right, now, Deadlock. Deadlock stays in tier D. I don't think she's better than Killjoy in SOLOQ. She doesn't benefit from the initiator changes or from the controller changes. She cannot play really any off angles. She got a little bit of a buff and a quality of life because head traps can be put in more positions nowadays because it's easier. But again, I don't think she's a great choice for ranked. Remember though that her grenade is now every 60 seconds. So good luck, you know. That is a big change. Now Cypher we talked, Vice we talked, Viper. What? The only way you can play Viper in ranked, specifically when there's no icebox or breeze in the game, is like by playing with a secondary controller. But you benefit when someone plays like a Brimstone with you. But do you benefit if someone plays a Clove? How hard is it to coordinate with a second controller as well in ranked? It's incredibly hard. So, yeah. Not a good idea to play Viper in SOLOQ nowadays. It's like incredibly hard to be efficient, and with the amount of flashes in the game and the amount of mobility, like it can be fully disrespected because the 10 DK that you have on the wall and the orb is like basically nothing. So yeah, and I'm saying this as a former Viper main. It's just not only not fun to play Viper now when you played her before, but she also doesn't really have that big of an impact. Now Waylay, I had put Waylay before pretty low because there were so many better duelist agents and overall agents that you can play in SOLOQ. But right now, even with the nerf, I actually think you just put her in A. Like any duelist with any mobility and any capability of playing in an off angles just get a huge buff. So even though she got nerfed, she is now actually better than she was before for solo queuing. Now I still don't think she's a good agent, by the way. The same way I don't think Reyna is a good agent. But when you play solo queue, you're gonna benefit if you play agents that can help you get kills. And that's the type of agent that benefits from the nerfs of the initiators and controllers. Even when your ultimate is nerfed, even when your grenade is nerfed, you can still benefit from them to get kills in an easy fashion and then go back, or just play an off angle and then go back, or just change your position with the dash. So I hate to say this, but there are 3 agents in the tier A that I really dislike in this game, and that's Reyna, Clove, and Waylay. Like, I don't think those are good agents, but they are tier A right now. All right, we talked about Sova. We didn't talk about Teho, and Teho stays in this tier. Didn't get any benefits. Like, he's okay. Like in solo queue now, when the utility basically doesn't really get back to the to the initiator players, like there's not much of a difference if you get your missiles back or not. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's the truth, you know. It's the truth. So if you really want to play Teho, you can, but it's not a great choice for ranked. KO we talked about already. Gecko we talked. Omen we talked. Harbor is garbage, but he gets the rework, so we'll just put him at the bottom of the F, and we'll revisit once the patch 11.10 hits. So it's gonna be like in 2.5 weeks, and that's where we're gonna revisit the tier list again. We'll see how he changes. Astra next. She got gutted, absolutely gutted. She is garbo. The cooldowns of her util being now 60 seconds on the stun and the pull, and then has smokes going from 25 to 35, makes just everything, like the amount of risk you have to take to place the stars and then to activate them and then to fight, when you combine with the amount of util that you have and the cost, the risk cost and the cooldown timers, just making it so awkward to play in current environment. The only thing that she essentially gains is, by accident, her fake stars have now more value because smokes are just so much, they have so much more value overall. So I wouldn't, probably, if I play ranked games, I just use 2 stars for faking, 2 stars for smokes, and 1 star for the stun. And then I have 1 of the stars back for post plant for the pull. I will probably never, ever use the pull during a normal round, because you get it back after 60 seconds. If you play solo queue, you will not benefit from that pull because it's so easy to dodge nowadays. And the effect of the double damage is actually so short nowadays as well after the nerf. So it makes no point in sacrificing 1 star to gain such a little advantage when you can just use the same star, recall it, and gain a mini smoke in the same position that will actually benefit probably you more than the pull, and then have that star back later on if you live. So yeah, but I'm still talking about an F tier character. If you play a controller, just play Clove. There's no other option. If you want to perform in solo queue, there's no other option than Clove. So she is at F. Like, better choice than Omen? Probably no, but very close. Like, those 3 here are just like very close. Breach, we talked. Harbor, we talked. And now Veto, the new inclusion to the game. Now he just goes straight up to B. He is not the greatest choice for solo queue, but he has repositioning. So he can play off angles, even though he's not that great at escaping like Chamber, but he can try. So you can benefit from playing off angles when the initiator util is so scarce, right? And the smokes are so scarce. He has a trap that is actually playable both on defense and attack, which is fantastic. And you have the possibility of healing yourself during the ultimate and completely ignore every single piece of utility in the game, which allows you to carry a little bit more on him. So he is actually, in my opinion, tier B. Now, to summarize, because this is the new tier list, right? When you compare it to the old tier list, it's incredible how it shifted in my eyes. Tier A is just filled. Every single duelist is either tier S or tier A, because they benefit so much from the overall nerfs in the game. And the agent that was already so often picked in ranked, which is Clove, they have even better performance boost right now because of the nerfs of the other characters than if they would get buff. I'm really not a fan of how the game looks right now in ranked. I know that maybe this will be better for VCT, but I also doubt. I really doubt that this patch is gonna be better for VCT. There's gonna be next patches that we're gonna have to include before we go into a VCT season. So the Harbor rework and some maybe other balance changes. But right now, the game is really not enjoyable to play in ranked, at least for me. Like, every game is Reyna, Jet, Clove. Reyna, Jet, Clove. Reyna, Jet, Clove. Reyna, Jet, Clove, Chamber. Reyna, Clove, Jet, Chamber. And then Sova, maybe. If not Sova, then Yoru. And if not Yoru, then Neon. And if not Neon, then Raze. It's or just Veto. And you get 2 Sentinels, 2 Duelists, and 1 Controller. But all of them are just focused from, on getting kills. So they're all from the tier SAB. And no one cares. It's really not a good experience. But I would love to know what you think. Is the game in current state better than it was before? And what do you think about the tier list right now? All right, see you next time. Bye-bye.